Hi everyone, I'm sorry I'm late. I was having some technical difficulties. I've been trying really hard not to be late. I'm really sorry. So, um, so thanks so much for joining me. I'm going to give you all a minute to jump on. I'm so excited about today. We're going to be talking about some really deep, intense stuff, and it's going to be super awesome. And I'm really excited. Make sure you say hi when you jump on. It's been an awesome couple of days. My oldest turned 10, as a lot of you guys saw. I was talking about that yesterday. He turned 10 years old yesterday. Hi, Zoe. Hi, Jilly. Make sure everyone says hi in the comments. I want to make sure that I know who's here. And a lot of what I do is really specified to who is on my lives at the time, and then those who might need certain messages in the replays later. It's all just really channeled stuff. Hi, Jilly. I love all your emojis. They're always great. My oldest turned 10 yesterday, and I did a lot better than I thought I was going to. And we had a huge birthday party at this it's called Classic Fun Center. It's a skating rink and laser tag and like a big like parkour, I don't know, bounce house kind of stuff and like jungle gym stuff inside. It's really big and like an arcade. And we had like 14 kids, I think, total, which last year he had 22 at Nicholscade, and I thought I did pretty good last year. But this year was so easy. I just paid for the extra room, so we weren't like in the same space as everyone. We were in our own little room, the Star Wars room, and I just hung out for 3 hours, and it was literally the best birthday party I've ever thrown. And I keep saying that, and this is why I felt like this live was so important, was because a year ago I said the best birthday party I've ever thrown was Leo's 9th birthday. And then in March, when Alex turned 3, I said, this is the best birthday party I've ever thrown, because we rented the aquarium, like a room at the aquarium. They just played for a long time. And then when Xena had her birthday, it was her first birthday. I wasn't freaking out at all. A bunch of people didn't end up coming. Like there was like 7 of us maybe. It was the best birthday I'd ever thrown. And then come around to Leo's birthday now again, number 10, and this is like they all are now just like, it's now easy. Birthday parties are now easy. I don't stress out about any of it, because for me personally, I think that I'm going to save money by doing it myself. And while I might end up saving money, I don't think I ever have, because I'll remember something last minute, or oh my God, I forgot this, or oh my goodness, we need this, or whatever. And then once you break down all the little payments, you end up spending like at least 1.5 times as much as you would for someone else to do it, if not like more than that. And then the stress, and then you can't even enjoy it, and you're trying to do everything, and you have to clean it and pack it, and fucking ridiculous. So I've just decided that I'm the type of person that likes to just pay people to do what they love and do it for me, right? So if Classic Fun Center has this option to do the birthday party, like we had the best lady, that like the party planner chick, she was so nice and so sweet and like took care of us totally. And at one point during the party, actually, Leo's Taekwondo people had come, and I told them, I was like, if you ever have kids and you're doing birthday parties, just pay for it. Exactly what I just said to you. Like, just pay for the difference, because you'll be able to actually enjoy it. And that's what they do. They just do it in all day, every day. And it's what party planners are for. And it's been something that I've been really getting into all year, just because and they said to me, they're like, yeah, some moms though, they're like super crazy. And it made me think that that's probably true. I bet you 3, 4, 5 years ago, I probably would have paid for the room, but then been like that crazy mom, like, where's the pizza? And we wanted Mountain Dew, and we wanted this, and what about this? And we have to do this. Okay, we got to call all the kids, and okay, now we're doing ice cream. And still would have had the crazy neurotic sense that I had when I had done it myself, but then been able to put the blame on someone else, versus I would always just blame the fact that I was doing it all myself. I didn't have any help, and blah, 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 blah. And it just had me it's been just like a couple of weeks of reflection, pretty much since the new moon on Sunday, and it hitting my oldest birthday week. And my Alex, the middle one, he turned 3.5 on Labor Day. So it's just like a time for me to reflect, especially again, I've just hit the 1 year anniversary of like downloading the Calm meditation app. And that was my first big investment in myself. It was $60 for the whole year to have it. And it like hit my subscription again. And I was all like, oh, wow, it's been a whole year. I looked at it and I've meditated over 300 times using this app. I've had a whole 31 days that was like consecutive. And then the times in between, it's not that I'm not meditating, I'm just not using that app. Maybe I'm using a different form of meditation instead, because it's now become a part of my life. And a lot of retrospect also, last year, the first time I ever did a new moon wishing, a lot of you guys know that I'm very into the lunar cycles and manifesting with the moon and releasing with the full moon. So new moon is for manifesting and when you like kind of sow the seeds. And last year, the Virgo new moon was the first new moon that I ever wished on. And I was going to bring it with me, but I don't have it. It's in the other room. But 3 of the wishes that I wished was to no longer be a perfectionist, to release my overall like just controlling habits, especially around things that were like not in my control, and to have better budgeting skills. So those were like 3 of them. A bunch of the other ones were just like to be more present and to be more grateful and other things that I know. It was really cool to actually go through the list, and I completed every single one, or all of those wishes had come true. All those desires had come to fruition. But a year ago, when I first made this list, two days later, my ceiling collapsed from water damage. And yeah, it was pretty awesome. Not really. From the roof collapsing. And that's kind of where my story begins again. So now that we've got some people and I've been chatting for a few minutes, let's really like dive into what today is about. So I haven't ever really come on live before and told the whole story as to why I got to here, and it's not going to be super long. I've shortened it down, but really to get you guys an idea of how fast you really can change your life once you're committed to it. So for those of you who might not know me, I'm Karen Terrace. I'm a massage therapist, transformational guide, author, speaker, activist, mom, wife, overall awesome person. And I am really, really looking to help moms especially, but all parents, anyone in a parental role, even aunts, the cool aunt who always babysits, trying to really reinforce this idea that if you put yourself first, collapsing, breaking, crumbling thing. Yeah, there is. That's true, Zoe. Trying to get those who are really raising the next generation to take care of themselves first and fix their own internal struggles so that it's easier to help our children and the next generation, because we were always taught to leave this world better than we found it, but we also were the generation that was given participation awards and don't have any accountability or responsibility, a lot of us, and we don't realize that we're playing the role of the victim or the child. We think it's just that society was set up against us, and I'm here to tell you that it's not, but that was me for a long time. So for me, I actually started going to see a life coach in person back in 2013. I just got to this point where Leo had just turned 5. I was finally working at like a good job, and I just got to the point where I was not happy where I was, and I couldn't figure out why. Like, I had a good job. We were still living with my parents. I didn't want to live there anymore, but I couldn't figure out what was going on. Why did I keep sabotaging myself? Why would I always like pay off credit card debt and then get back into it? Just all this stuff was going on. And so I started seeing a life coach way back when. So 5 years. So when I say that you can go from 5 years in therapy and collapse that down into a year or less, it's because I did. I took 5 years of therapy, and my therapist now, when I see her, I saw her 2 days ago, actually, just for like a checkup, because I like to do that every once in a while. And she's like, you're just a totally different person. And every time I see you, you're a different person, and you're just making all these huge advances and huge leaps, and you're growing so much, and you really have figured out who you are, which she didn't say that for 5 years. So, collapsing time is definitely something that I'm really good at helping with because I've done it. So fast forward to when I had my baby girl last June, And a lot of you guys know I gave birth to her unassisted. We were waiting for the midwife to arrive. And after she was born, anytime my husband would yell or anyone would get really upset or there was like yelling, screaming, any sort of really big emotions around me that were what I considered unjustified, I started getting frustrated. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I can't allow all this negativity to always be around. And we were in debt, and I was like, my hormones were starting to be, hi everyone, say hi as you pop on. My hormones were starting to be kind of out of whack, and I really wanted to be able to focus and ground and be like, no, I can't go back to being the yelly mom. I can't go back to the mom that spanks. Even if it wasn't very often, I had still done it. I can't go back to any of what I used to do. I can't go back to being the woman who just like doesn't feel sexy, who doesn't feel great about my body. Like I had done this amazing thing. I'd given birth 2 times before that. My first time in a hospital, the second time was at home with a whole team around me. And I had never, from after Alex was born until even being pregnant with Zena, there was never a moment in that time where I was like, ooh, I look good. I feel confident. I was always judging my body. I was always looking at parts of me. I was like, oh, I always have a double chin. Oh, I always have cellulite. I always have this mom pouch. And I remember I would talk about this a lot, and I'd say, I want to get healthy. I want to do this. I want to do that. But I never really did anything about it because it was excuses. Oh, I've got fibromyalgia. I have arthritis. I can't go out and do this. Oh, it hurts all the time. And I just lived in this box of legitimate excuses. They were all like medical condition. I can't do that. This is my financial situation. My oldest, Leo, a lot of you guys might not know this, but the stock market crash of 2008 actually happened Monday morning, September the 15th. So that was 10 years ago today was when the stock market crashed and the whole housing market totally collapsed and the Great Recession really began. And I was holding a 1-day-old baby. And I used to blame everything on that. It's the reason why I had to charge $40 an hour for a massage forever, why nobody ever wanted or I could never get clients that would stick around. Just all these things that I just allowed the circumstances around me, and I blamed them because they were logical. They were very like legitimate reasons why I can't. Or my other favorite that I used to use a lot was, no one taught me how. Well, it's not my fault. Nobody taught me how to do that. I didn't know how to do that. Nobody taught me how to do that. Isn't that the jobs of those around me to teach me when I don't know how? And I'm not very good at asking for help, first of all. So I'm sure that there's plenty of things that I just lied and said, oh yeah, I know how to do that. And so my parents were like, oh, she knows how to do that, but I didn't. I'm sure you all know things like this, like, oh, I didn't know how to budget. Oh, I didn't know that credit card, I had to pay it back. Oh my goodness. Or I didn't know the new thing for me right now is I didn't know that self-pleasure and masturbation were like okay and just like a part of the human experience. So these things were, again, my excuses, my legitimate excuses, until I had Xena. And then I didn't have a legitimate excuse anymore because I had just birthed a baby unassisted with only my husband behind me, like pushing on my back. Very minimal support. He had no idea what was going on or how he could help. And my photographer being there and taking pictures and like being on the ready in case she needed to call anyone. But the midwife was on her way. Like she could have walked in right that second. She didn't. She was like 15 minutes out. But after that, it was this moment of such precise terror, absolute terror, the scariest moment of my life, realizing that she was being birthed and there was not a fucking thing I could do about it because I couldn't do anything about it. She was just coming, and Angie wasn't there. I wasn't being coached. I didn't know if I was going to tear. I didn't know if she was coming out like breech. I couldn't see nothing. And I just remember screaming, she's coming. And she came out and I picked her up and everything was perfect. And then all of a sudden rushed with total euphoria, just confidence and bliss and gratitude and every single positive emotion that you can even describe flooding through my body at once. and power, extreme power, which I had felt after giving birth to Alex, but I had actually given a lot of the credit to my midwife and to my doula and to Ryan and to all the people that were supporting me through doing it, instead of taking the credit myself, because I was the one who birthed her. And that's a life theme for me. I'm really good at giving other people the credit or not taking the compliment. So fast forward, Xena was born in June, and we get to about August, and I got a gift card, and I got this book that said, that was start here and get your shit together. And just these themes that were like, this is what I need to do. I now have 3 kids. We know that we're not having any more kids. Ryan's going to be getting a vasectomy in January. Like, I have to figure out who the fuck I am, because I'm not who I was before I gave birth to Xena. That person is gone. Like, I will never allow her to come back. But who the fuck am I? Because I can't remember ever being happy. And it became like a very big struggle for me to not allow myself to spiral into a very deep depression of why I had just fucked up the last 9 years of my life. Like, Leo's turning 9, and I have this little cute little baby, and just like all of my parental choices started just like light speeding through my head constantly. Ryan would be like, what are you thinking about? And I'd be like, oh, nothing. But I was really thinking about the time that I screamed at Leo because he let go of a balloon and it went flying across the park. It was one of those big Mylar balloons, and I didn't even have enough money to buy the pizza for that party, but I had spent enough money for the big Mylar balloon, and he just let it go, and I went racing across the park and tried to grab it, and like, it was bad. I was like crazy. I've got 1,000 stories like that. I'm sure you're laughing and cracking up because it's ridiculous. The way I used to act was ridiculous. I was very judgmental of any person who didn't have the views that I did. I was very judgmental of myself most of all. I was a perfectionist to the T. And the problem with my perfectionism was that it was also countered with procrastination and laziness. So it turned into, if I can't do it, why try? So why would I try new things? I already know that I can't do it. How do you move throughout life when that's literally the densest thought you could ever have? Why would I try if I know I can't, even though I've never done it before? Think about that for a second. And maybe you have a moment in your life that you can think that you did that. Maybe there's a situation in your past or even right now where you're like, oh, yeah, I'm afraid. And it's always fear and it's always shame. So I said that before in a post earlier. The number one reason that this was happening was shame. I was ashamed that I was living with my parents, even though it was a legitimate reason of the housing market and we were young and blah, 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 blah. But I was ashamed of that. So even though I was a mom, which was what I'd always wanted to be when I grew up, I couldn't enjoy it. And I actually resented Leo a lot. And I've got all this time to make up for it now, but it took me a long time to even be okay with the fact that I had realized that I didn't even really raise Leo until he was 6. I was constantly gone. I was constantly, out working or out with friends or at school and making up excuses and making up errands because I just didn't want to be home. I didn't want to be in my parents' house holding on to this baby who had trapped me. All these things that I know a lot of young moms think. And you feel horrible for it. So it makes you feel even worse. You're like, how can I judge and resent such a perfect little being? And yet you do. And I didn't know that could be postpartum depression, especially when it kept going. It kept continuing. He was 3 and I still had these feelings. I hung out with him a little bit more, but I had no idea that that's what it was. So again, when I had Alex, I educated myself and I was a lot better and I didn't get those resentful feelings towards him. But I got pregnant with Xena when he was only 18 months old. So there was a lot of hormonal issues during when he was developing between 18 months and 27 months where there's things that I did during then that I'm not proud of at all. And again, I can blame the hormones, but it was really that I had just allowed myself by then. I was a reactionary parent. I didn't even like think what was going on. What's going on down there? Oh, get it. Like my neighbors would hear me yell all the time. Like there wasn't a response. There wasn't a sit there and see what happened and process it and then like talk. It was immediate reaction. It was chandeliering every time. And the term chandeliering comes from Brene Brown's book Rising Strong, but essentially it means like if you were to hurt yourself and you go into the doctor and they touch it and you like just jump out of your skin, you jump as high as the chandelier. That's called chandelier pain in the medical term. In a more emotional term, it's when people people also call it like a champagne bottle, right? They just stuff everything down, and then all of a sudden they just pop, and then they stuff down some more, and then they pop. And like I said, my neighbors knew that I yelled, my friends knew that I yelled. No one brought their kids over here because they saw how I treated them. And the whole time I thought, oh, I'm a disciplinarian, I'm a tough ass, like they know not to fuck with me, and yet they would keep fucking with me, and I couldn't figure out why. It was because they were terrified of me. And you don't want your kids to be terrified of you. Like you're just making them walk on eggshells around you constantly. That's not healthy for them. That means cortisol is pumping through their system constantly. Like it's really like, you wonder why we have obese children. It's because they're stressed the fuck out. And that's because most of us are reactionary because we've never taken the time to learn how to be mindful and how to respond. We've been programmed to be reactionary because that's what our parents probably were. It's the most common way to parent, because especially when you have multiple children, you just assume this, and last time this is what happened, and this, instead of parenting each child in each moment individually, which is really what you have to do when raising children. Like you chose to birth children, you have to raise them, and you have to raise them with this positive mindset, this mindfulness, the ability to stand up when they fall and all this stuff. But if you don't know how to do that, there's no way that you can teach your kids how to do it. You can't, because they are going to watch what you do and not give a flying fuck what you say. Isn't that what do as I do? Do as I say, not as I do? No one fucking does that. Everyone just does what you do, right? Sorry, I need to get a drink. Let me know if you guys have any questions or comments or anything. Say hi if you popped on late. So, sorry, bubbles. So September of last year, like I said, the ceiling collapses right after I've done my new moon wishes. It's pretty much the universe smacking me in the face and being like, your wish is my command. You want to do this thing? Let's do this thing. So we ended up needing to get a home equity line of credit, and we refinanced the house so that we could pay for a new roof, because the problem was water damage from the roof. For those of you that popped on late, what happened was that last Virgo new moon, I made some wishes, and 3 of them came true 24 hours later when my ceiling collapsed. And there wasn't anything I could do about it, and I was going to have to learn how to go through this whole like very adult process of refinancing your house and applying for a loan and getting a construction worker and bids and all this stuff, right? During this time, though, I now had some extra money to play with. And I say play because that's what I needed to do. I needed to rewrite my money story, and I knew that that was the first thing I needed to do, was to rewrite my money story, rewrite my relationship with money, because if I wasn't comfortable with spending money on myself so I could unlearn what I knew, because I knew what I didn't want to do, right, guys? I knew that I didn't want to yell anymore. I knew that I didn't want to be reactionary anymore. I knew that I wanted to love my life. I knew that I wanted to have hot sex all the time with my husband and love my body and travel the world and raise my kids with this positive gratitude mindset. And I wanted to be thankful for it the whole time. And I wanted to make a ton of money so I could help all of the different causes, because I was burnt out. I was so burnt out on trying to help all these different causes, because it was always, we got to go schmooze someone for some money instead of just someone in the group believing in the cause and giving money to the cause. So all these different things are what combined to me finally being like, I need to figure this shit out so I can help change not just my life and not just my family's life, but like lives of tons of people that I know. Because why not? Why not me? If all these other people can just like make Snapchat and create some app, and whoever created the whisk, even like maybe not the whisk, that's been around a long time, but do you know what I mean? Like the most ridiculous inventions where you're like, that person is a millionaire. Whoever invented the label maker, you know what I mean? So I was like, why not me? Why not me? Because I have no idea how to do any of that shit. So I got to start. And where do you have to start? By investing in yourself. And if you don't think you're worth anything, and this is my point, if you don't think you're worth anything, if you think that the life that you have created, which is just a reflection of the vibration that you're putting out into the world, by the way, up until this point, that's why you can change overnight, why people can go from nothing to from rags to riches overnight, is because they've just changed their vibrational frequency. And your life right now is just a reflection of what you previously have put out there. If you don't think you're worth anything, and you've never thought you were worth anything, and you have all these shame stories about your body and your sex life and your relationships and money and all these things that I've just spent the last 20 minutes telling you, all my little shame secrets. They're not secrets. I believe in total transparency. My story is my story, and we are storytelling creatures. This is how our whole society is built on it. So my story is my story. It might not be your story, but my story has enough pieces in it that can be relatable, that I can help you figure out where you need to go in your journey right now. Be your guide, again, be your Yoda, be your Gandalf, and help you along the way. And then, maybe you don't need me for a while, then I can come back, or whatever happens in your life. But I really just got to this point last year, and I was able to do that. I could buy books. I'd never had enough money to justify buying books before, or having an Audible downloadable thing. Or I went and took myself to Vegas because it wasn't that far, and I knew someone who had a house, so that I could go to a conference that I really wanted to go see January Harshi, the creator of Birth Without Fear, who I had met back in January of that year, actually. And I started doing these little things, and then a little bit bigger, and then a little bit bigger, and just like little, and it wasn't like just getting my hair done, but I was getting that done, or I was always getting a pedicure. I made sure I was getting a pedicure every month. Just these little tweaks where maybe I wouldn't go out to eat as much, or I wouldn't go out to like a fast food joint, because I knew fast food joints were just they weren't helping with my body image anyway. And if I go out every day or most of the time for lunch with the kids just because it's easier, then I'm not teaching them good habits either. And just kind of, that's when I started reprioritizing and creating new standards and creating new values, and really turning inwards, right? Just really, I didn't cut off a lot of my friends, but I wasn't reaching out. I wasn't trying to hang out all the time. And that was a big thing for me too back in the day. I was always trying to do something. I was always trying to go out and do something, either to get away from the kids or to get away from my husband, or because it had been a long day. I was never willing to sit in my own head, because it was the scariest place because of all the shame. As soon as I was quiet, I would just start thinking about all the things that sucked about my life. And not in just a depressive way, but then I would start justifying it, right? So then I'd get resentful, and then I'd get judgmental, and then I'd get angry, and then I would stand up and go and do something, and then I'd be so wound up all the time, and I wouldn't even know why. I was like, why? Nothing's wrong. And obviously something was wrong. It's because the only thoughts that ever went on in my head were negative ones. Oh, my husband doesn't think I'm sexy. He doesn't want to have sex with me. Oh, my kids are so annoying. Oh, my house is a mess. Oh, this, oh, that, oh, this, oh, that. All the way down until I got to I got to the point where I needed to change. And those stories still come in, but they don't. I can just like, oh yeah, get out of here. I hear you. That shame story coming in about how your house has to be perfectly clean, like Martha Stewart's coming over. I hear you. That shame story that says that if you don't buy organic, raw, vegan food, then you're just not taking care of your kid. Oh, bye. I heard you, but bye. I'm not listening to you. I don't have time for you. And instead, what would come in is, you're doing a great job. Your kids love you. You're able to have presence in your time. Look at the way that your husband's looking at you right now. And all these different things that were making my vibration higher because I was able to surround myself with these higher vibrations. So I started noticing them just from books, guys, just from reading. And then you go from September to the first week of December, and I invested in myself a large amount. I spent $222, like besides the trip to Vegas, which was probably about a $200 trip, but that was like a trip, so that's different, right? Like $200 to $300. This was like one thing, one service package for $222 to get my Akashic record cleared, which I've talked about before, but it's like getting all of your past lives and all of that stuff kind of just like cleaned off and giving you a clean slate. My friend Holly does it, and I was trying to support her because I was realizing that if I want people to come to my massage clinic, I should probably like be investing in other people too. So I had that done, and I felt so free and so different. And by the next month, I invested $700, and I got my own like coach where we were talking one-on-one once a week about specific issues and in my business, because I was wanting to grow my business. All of a sudden my like massage business was really becoming important again. And again, this was all around my money story. I had changed my money story. I didn't feel it was gross anymore. I didn't think it was the root of all evil anymore. And I wanted to make $1 million by 2020. And I wanted to figure out what I needed to do to make $1 million by 2020, because in 2020 there's a big election, there's all these other things going on, and I want to be able to be helpful. So, and money is power right now. Like, you can't be mad about it. I'm sorry. Like, trade and barter all you want when you can, but when it comes to the big stuff, you guys all know it's true. So hating money isn't helping at all. Just have to add that in there, because I feel like when I say that, people get mad at me, and it's, first of all, I don't care that you're mad at me, but I want to clarify why I say that, because I know it. I've been trying to advocate for years, and it always comes down to money. So until we can get into the system to change it from the inside, we got to play by their rules a little bit. It's just how it works. So then I invested a little bit more and a little bit more, and I got to the point where I realized that every time I invested in myself, I made a huge leap. And the next time I invested in myself, I made another huge leap. And then it got to the point where I was rereading, wishes or wants or desires, and realizing that I wasn't taking a year to create them, or 2 years. Like, I wanted to buy my parents' house starting in like 2014, and we finally purchased it in 2016. Like, this was happening every couple of days. I would want to do something, and like, I manifested a trip to Hawaii in 5 days. I wanted to go to Hawaii, and 5 days later my dad told me he was taking us for my 30th birthday, and he had decided that the night before. So he hadn't even decided prior to me deciding that I wanted to go. And my human design chart, though, is manifesting generator. If you guys want to know more about that, my friend Jackie is amazing, and it's awesome. But it's very much like your zodiac or your astrological signs, and again, the soul blueprinting, all these things. And for me, once I think about something, I can do it. And everyone has that ability, but some people can just do it faster based on their human design. But I didn't know any of this back then. And then all of a sudden it gets to May, and I launched my first course, and I'm so excited, and it's going to be awesome. And I channeled this book, and it's awesomely cool, and crickets, and nothing happens. And I realized again that it was because I was still allowing the shame story to creep in. Because as soon as I didn't get even a response on my course, what did I do wrong? What happened? Where did you fuck up? What did you do wrong this time? You ruin everything. Look at all the money you wasted. Look at all the time you wasted. Just all these, and I wasn't able to do this. I was just letting them come in and come in and come in, because I was ashamed. I was shameful of failing. I was so just like hurt and confused, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And I literally found a new coach like a week later. Started following this lady that I had never seen her post before. Her name's Lorna Johnson. She's fucking mind-blowing. And she made $1 million in 10 months. She'd been doing it for 4 years, doing the shit that I was talking about, going from, courses and freebies and funnels and blah, 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 blah. And didn't work for 4 years. And then all of a sudden she went from totally in debt, not even a dime to her name, couldn't have 401ks, none of that, to $1 million in 10 months. And I was like, ding, 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 we have a winner. And I started following her and I started watching her and I invested in one of her programs, which was, again, more money than I had spent the last time, And starting with a $30 book, or sorry, a $50 gift card that was given to me. So it wasn't even my money that I first, someone else bought it for me, right? They bought a gift card for me and then I invested it because I had to, because it was a gift card at Barnes & Noble. It wasn't like a Visa credit card, right? And we got to this point working with Lorna, and I'm in this course and we were doing a shadow audit, which is really looking at your shadow size, all the things I was talking about, all those childlike stories, the victim stories, the selling your soul, that $40 massages, trying to just whoring myself out just to make any money that I could, playing that victim or sabotaging myself whenever I would, pay off debt and then immediately go spend it on something else or whatever happened. Really working on transforming that into your sovereign and into your warrior and into your lover and into your magician. And this is what I mean by, in May, I realized that I created my dream life, because that's when I launched my course, right? I got so excited that I had, oh my God, I am a massage therapist. That's what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I had been working with my coach, right, for January, February, March, April. So for 4 months now, I've been working with my coach. And so I was now so excited and had worked through a bunch of my other issues, which, again, 4 months versus 5 years in therapy. You guys can understand that I used to be really crazy if I was in therapy for 5 years and then just between September to December probably jumped 2 years worth of regular therapy, and then from December to January probably 4, just because I dealt with a whole bunch of past life stuff. And then from January to April, that one was maybe a little bit slower, but that's because we were pulling some really deep stuff that I didn't even know existed, or that I thought I had already dealt with, which is what therapy, it can be kind of tricky, because everything's cyclical. So you think that you've dealt with it, but you really just dealt with the first layer. You've skimmed the surface, and then you help with the next person, you take some more out, and then you're able to really reach in there and figure out what the fuck is making the water dirty to begin with, and you put that out, but then you're still left with this dirty water. And that's what people start trying to do. They just keep trying to clean this water that's just dirty from all of this old story, instead of dumping out the pot and filling it with fresh new water. Okay? And that's what I call my mom bot reboot. When I say that I'm a reprogrammed mom bot, this is what happened. And this literally happened within the last, just over this summer, honestly. Just over this summer, I've now lost all of the extra weight that I've ever held. I'm the thinnest that I've ever been. I eat healthier than I've ever been. I have the most energy than I've ever had. I'm as positive as could be. I'm finally comfortable in my body. Not just because I'm thin, because I still have all these little pooches, right? And I still have cellulite on my butt and all this stuff, but I don't give a fuck. And most of all, there's no shame behind it at all. I can 100% say, if I sit here and really meditated on it, and if all of the choices that I've made over the last year and will continue to make leaves my family completely broke, and we have to somehow, sell our house, and we're looking at trying to, couch hop or whatever gets to that point, which we're far, far from there. But if I sit here and think about that moment in my life, if I knew with 100% certainty that I had done everything through my intuition, through my passion, through my pleasure, for my purpose, using my own sovereign power, I wouldn't be ashamed. I wouldn't be confused, maybe. Because once you do all those things, then there's no way that you're going to end up in the gutter. It just doesn't work. But I wouldn't be ashamed anymore. I wouldn't be afraid to talk about the fact that I've learned over the last, even the last week has been extremely transformational for me. But that's because I don't settle anymore. I don't allow myself to have a perfectionist image anymore. There's not a place I want to be because I'm where I am right now, and where I am is pretty fucking good. Like, I own a house. I don't have a ton of debt. There's some, but we own a house. We have 3 beautiful children. Everyone's healthy. No major issues. Zena's allergic to eggs, which kind of sucks. My stomach doesn't like eggs or dairy or meat anymore. So you know what, it is what it is. And but there were still other triggers of shame in my life. And it wasn't until I really was willing to dig down and face them naked. So the last week I've actually been doing a naked mirror challenge where I stood there naked in the mirror and told myself how awesome I was and all these mantras. And I realized in this week that I was still allowing myself to be ashamed for no reason. I was the last person that was ashamed of me. My parents have told me how proud they were. Everything was solid with my husband. I don't have siblings to worry about their judgments. My friends, and I had cleared them out. This was the last person standing naked in front of me, the last person ashamed of anything that had happened in the last year, in the last 10 years, in the last 30 years, was me. And I reprogrammed it. It's over. And it was a week. Guys, I've had 5 people since Monday tell me that I'm glowing. Nobody tells you you're glowing unless you're pregnant. And I'm not pregnant because Ryan is snipped. And we're not having any more babies. I'm glowing because for the first time in my life, I solid swear on Holy Mother Jesus, I am not ashamed of any of my choices because they are mine. And they are what made me, and they're what helped me get to this point where I can now help all of you, which leads me to my exciting news. Last night, I literally was sitting there thinking about the day and how awesome I felt. I had taken that picture afterwards, and I was like, this is insane. I could keep going. I'm so excited. It's been a great day. Just all this positivity was still just flowing in my body. And I sat down and I was like, you know what? I feel like there's something coming. And I started writing, and 10 minutes later, this is what showed up. So I'm going to read it to you guys. And it's a 3-week intensive. So I'm going to tell you what it is. It's the MomBot Reboot. It's a 3-week intensive. You're going to get 2 1-hour calls with me throughout those 3 weeks. You're going to get unlimited Voxer coaching. Voxer is an app on your phone that's like a walkie-talkie app. So anytime during the day, if you're losing it, you can Voxer me and I'll respond, because it just walkie-talkie. And unless I'm changing a shitty diaper, I'll be right there to respond. I'm sure you understand. You'll be getting bi-daily homework assignments. So every other day, I'll be sending you an email checking up on you, making sure you're doing everything. And these are going to be journal prompts or activities or worksheets or exercises or mantras or meditations or all these different things, videos, all specifically for you. So I launched a course last week that's going to be a group course. So that's still available as well if you want more of a group setting. But this is an intensive 3 weeks, one-on-one. I am yours, and I can help you to reboot and really hard reset if you are just stuck. So it's going to be $555 if you pay in full, or you can do 4 biweekly payments of $150, which makes it $600 by the end, but you're able to split it up over 8 weeks instead of payments. And there's no application. I'm going to leave the link here in this here, and you can just sign up and send me it, and we'll get it all started. So really quick though, I'm just going to read this description. I really want you to listen to this, and if this is you, then jump on it. Because working one-on-one with me is not $555. It's about 10 times that to work one-on-one with me normally. So for the mom who is tired of resenting her role as a mother, for the mom who is sick of wishing for a reset button by 11 a.m. every damn day, For the mom who reacts instead of responds to her children's behaviors. For the mom who has little to no sex drive, who wants to build a strong sexual connection with her partner and herself. For the mom who is ashamed of her mom bod, who hides her body, or who puts her fashion desires on hold for the needs of the family. For the mom who wants to be the best version of herself, but doesn't have a clue where to start. For the mom who wants to become the woman she always wanted to be when she grew up. That little girl's dream is still deep inside, and I can help you to rekindle that spark of imagination. For the mom who wants to know who she will be when her kids grow up, so she isn't lost and confused while also dealing with an empty nest. That's a big part of it too. When I realized I wasn't going to have kids anymore, like I really needed to figure out who I was going to be in 20 years, or at least have an idea of where I wanted to be in 20 years, because having more kids wasn't happening. For the mom who is willing to do whatever it takes, no matter what, to create passion, pleasure, and purpose in her life. And for the mom who is ready to reclaim her feminine power and become the true queen of her realm. Let me be your guide. We can navigate the stormy waters of your life together and come out the other side into smooth waters with a clear sense of where your personal pleasure island awaits. I really, if any of that spoke to you, I really hope that you join me, because this is something that obviously I am just so deeply called to do because of how much it's changed my life. Like when I tell you that my life could not be any better, it's not because there's not things that I would love, like I would love $1 million right now, but I'm talking about the fact that I had the best birthday with my kid yesterday. The best birthday. We had a great day this morning too. The fact that I can not be stressed out about where any money is going to come from at all. It just is there, and I'm able to find it and find the support. I don't react. I don't yell. I don't feel ashamed of anything at all. I feel so free and so lifted. And I just want every mom to feel this way. I want you all to know that you're worth it. You have the right to love yourself, to invest in yourself, to become the best version of you, because your higher self already exists. She's already within you. She is in there screaming, waiting to come out and to be unleashed on this world. But you right now, whoever is in control right now, you have to invest in yourself. You have to take the first step, because once you just move a tiny little pebble, maybe a little rock over here, the floodgates will open, and everything you ever wished for, you'll either realize you already have it, or it's coming so fast to you. So I'm going to open it up for questions for a second. I'm going to leave my links here below for this. Again, if you guys have any questions or anything like that too, you can let me know. Doesn't look like it. Okay, guys. So thank you all for being here and for being a part of this live. It was amazing. I am so excited for those of you who decide to jump on this MomBot reboot. And I will talk to you all later. I love you.